Good?
Good.
Okay, call this meeting of the council to order at
1900.
1900. We'll start off with a roll call.
Frank Brzezowski.
Here.
Brian Chapman.
Here.
Diana's absent tonight. Matt Chapman.
Here.
Mark Sikora's absent tonight. Jessica Conklin.
Here.
Steve Kopp Jr. Don Duvall is absent tonight, so is Brian Gardner. Mel Horton.
Here.
Colleen is absent tonight. Alan Ingalls. Henry Jerzak. Dr. Kellogg.
Here.
Bill Kennedy.
Here.
Richard Kimball.
Here.
Jim is absent tonight, so I am Jimmy. I'm the alternate. I promise I won't talk as much. No. Al Lewis is not here, so Jim Neary's here. Tim Marshall.
Here.
Devin McGinnis is going to be absent tonight. Dan Miller.
Here.
Kelly Miller.
She's over in the arts building.
Okay. James Page was going to be absent tonight. Dave Repsher.
Here.
Brandon Rossetti.
Here.
Jeff Sweet.
Here.
Terry Simons.
Here.
Mike Van Beveren.
Here.
Andy Mallow.
Here.
Mike Minke. Okay, roll call complete, and we have a quorum.
Good deal.
And I'll put down Kelly.
Looking for anywhere other than next. You don't have to ask for her. I just put my son back. Like I said, I put Karen in the last one. We already took the back row.
So we'll start off with correspondence for committee. I have a couple. There's two, I don't know if everybody's got these, but they're new policy statements that are out from the state. One is course funding for course sponsorships in EMS agencies. And there is a ton of information here, and I apologize because I haven't read through all these. But basically for funding and changes in that policy for EMT, certified first responders and paramedics programs. So we can get copies to everybody and make sure that everybody's aware, but just make sure that these policy statements are out there. The other one is pilot education programs. This one is the purpose of the policy statement for the outline of new pilot education programs to help increase recruitment and retention in New York, in the New York State EMS system. And again, this is all with general information about the pilot EMT. It sounds like it's geared a lot more for like EMT Academy style courses, for full programs. Also what they're going to do and what the reimbursement is going to be for those programs. So if anybody knows more than I do on these, feel free to speak up, but I was just handed these, so.
I also talked at the state council about new reimbursement they're going to do for EMT students that weren't part of an agency when they took the EMT class, so they had to pay for the EMT out of pocket. As long as they do 1 calendar year as a member of an EMS agency, the state will reimburse them the cost of the class. But it has to be the agency that requests the reimbursement.
And that could be volunteer or paid.
It can be volunteer or paid. So they just have to be active for 12 months. So that's a way for if any agency has somebody who became an EMT on their own and then joined an agency, it's a way for them to get their tuition back.
How far back did they go?
They didn't say that. But it's at least a,
Yeah.
it's a good, I think it's one of their efforts I mean, maybe Brian can answer that question. I don't.
That's a good question, and I wasn't 100% sure.
You know, but it's a good effort for them to try and to keep EMTs. So that there's another avenue for people to get their money back.
They also announced an increase in the reimbursement too. Yeah, they're not reimbursed all that.
Yes.
Yes, they just printed it out there.
So
That was the other one.
I think that definitely will be with the retention program, some of these starving agencies that only have 2 or 3 EMTs too, it's a way that they can recruit some of these people,
Absolutely.
especially because I know the class we're starting up this year, there's several of them that are looking to get with an agency, so they're stepping up to the plate and they're out there, so if they're willing to get their EMT, you know, to help them along, these agencies might be able to recruit them, so that's great.
So kudos to the state for that one.
Yeah. That's a good one.
New York State reprimand and violations, the bad boy list. There's a whole bunch of them here, so. Let's see, Sean R. Woods, Catherine Street, Star Lake, New York, was suspended for 1 year. Probation for 3 years, effective 6/1/23, and assessed a civil penalty of $2,000 for violations of Part 10 NY, Part 800, 1516, and Part 816A. Francisco Garcia, 56 Bresden Street, Shirley, New York. He has his license revoked effective 6/7/23 for violations of Part 10 and Part 816. Daniel Winters, 6 Fletcher's Drive, Hopewell Junction, New York. Is suspended for 1 year. Violations of Part 10 and Part 803 and 15. Agency, College Point Community Ambulance Corp. Inc., College Point, New York, surrendered operating certificate effective 6/7/23 for violations of PHL 3012. Robert Ortez Jr., 252 Palmetto Street, Brooklyn, New York, surrendered effective 6/1/23 for parts 10 and part 816. Vincent Pasquale, 70 North Evergreen Drive, Sheldon, New York. His license was revoked 5/4/23 for violations of 10 and part 816. Kyle L. Keene, 318 Tension Avenue, Syracuse, New York, was placed on a 3-year probation effective 5/3/23, assessed civil penalties of $2,000 and possibly $1,500 if stayed pending further violations during probation for violations of Part 10 and 816. Brian E. Fernandez of 2118 Mapes Avenue, Bronx, New York, assessed a civil penalty of $1,000, penalties to stay providing further violations for 3 years for Parts 10 and Part 816. Brian Torres, 1755 Hamilton Parma Corners Road, Spencerport, New York, assessed a civil penalty of $2,000 for violations of Part 10 and 816. And Javada Orsterout of 363 2nd Avenue, Albany, New York, surrendered effective 8/7/23 for violations of Part 10 and 816. And that's all of them.
Still didn't take as long.
We tried. Upcoming events, any upcoming events? Obviously, Vital Signs 2023 is October 18th through the 22nd, on Center, Syracuse, New York. I've seen their program, it's out on the web, it's out on the website also. So, looks like a pretty decent program this year, again, as always. And that's moved up a little bit from the end of October to earlier this year, so. That's all I had. Any other?
Trauma coming up, down at Towder down October 6th, 7th?
Remember that Friday, Saturday?
Yeah, whatever that Friday, Saturday is.
Okay.
Concepts of trauma.
Anything else, Mike? Anything? Okay. All right, so we'll jump down to approval of the previous minutes from May 11th. I know they were sent out, everybody had time to review them.
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Motion and second.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Committee reports, we'll start with systems.
Systems Committee has two seconded, oh my God, I'm falling apart. Motions to bring forward, and one informational piece. First seconded motion is a BLS FR application for Corning Incorporated. Corning Incorporated provides rescue and EMS services to the Corning campus, Sullivan Park?
Sullivan Park.
At Sullivan Park. They have been providing that all along, and I believe, but I don't know for certain, that they had a first responder number, then lost it in that kind of the state transition they did years back, and now we're looking to get it back. I believe they're dispatched, they say they're dispatched through the Steuben County 911, so they're already a part of the system. They're going to be providing defibrillation, EMT level of care, epi auto inject, albuterol, blood glucometry, and naloxone. Dr. Halanan, who's a member of the STREAM Act, is going to be their medical director, and the application is very well done and complete, so it comes forward as a seconded motion to approve and forward on to the Department of Health, and with the recommendation that they issue a first responder number to Corning Incorporated.
So that's motion to the floor. Any questions or comments? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried.
Seconded motion we bring forward is again for Corning Incorporated Emergency Services. It's for them application to provide EPCR, or to use EPCR. They're going to be using ESO. The application is filled out, dates are timely, and all signatures have been obtained. The motion is for the region to recommend and to approve, recommend to the state that they approve that Corning Incorporated can use electronic PCR submission.
Is that Sullivan Park also, or Corning?
It's Sullivan Park, it's the
Okay.
same thing.
Okay.
It's Corning Incorporated Emergency Services, so.
Okay.
Okay, any discussion on that for the EPCR program? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried.
I do have the applications if anybody wants to review them. The informational piece is that I received an email this afternoon from a lawyer for Bath Ambulance telling me to expect a CON for transfer of operating authority for the town of Cameron for Bath Ambulance. What that entails is that once we receive the CON, a clock starts. The systems committee has 7 days to review and either deem the application as complete or incomplete. If it is incomplete, it is returned to the lawyer with a listing of corrections that need to be made. If it's deemed as complete, then the council has 30 days to hold an official meeting. The meeting has to be on record with the stenographer. Because this is a transfer of operating authority, no public hearing or public notice is required by the Department of Health. So this makes this the easier type of CON for us to handle. The only thing is that we're going to have another meeting sometime between this meeting and our next regularly scheduled meeting, just because of the timelines required by State Policy 0606. I'm going to contact the lawyer tomorrow. I'm going to offer to him for him to send me the CON before he officially submits it, so that I can go over it and see if I see anything that's glaring that that there may be problems with, so that they have an opportunity to fix it before they officially submit it. And if he does that, it should just take me the weekend to review it and to make sure that there's nothing else. But I guess what I'm trying to say is sometime in October, expect another council meeting.
So,
That's going to cover the town of Cameron and a portion of the town of Grafton.
Okay.
There's a third, town of Grafton is split into 3 sections, with 3 separate contracts there between, used to be Cameron, Addison, and Woodhull. So they're taking the Cameron portion of the town of Grafton as well.
So what I'll do is, once we do receive the application and it's deemed as complete, what I'll do is I will redact all the personal information out of it, like they have to do fitness and competency, so they have to give us their social security numbers and a whole bunch of personal information. What I'll do is I'll redact that, and then I'll make sure every council member is sent a redacted copy of the CON. So before we have the meeting, so that everybody can spend a little time and look over it. And if anybody wants, I can also attach a copy of Policy 0606, which is kind of the Bible on how to either approve or deny a CON. So but that's all the systems committee has.
okay. Yeah, once it gets through systems, what we'll do is we'll blast another email out to everybody, checking a date to make sure we can get a quorum, get together and get that taken care of for them, so it doesn't have to, as he said, the clock run out on them, and get that taken care of. They've been working on it for a while, and we want to make sure that gets done. Very good, thank you. CMAC and SEMSCO.
Okay, the meetings were Tuesday and Wednesday of this week. And there was a lot going on, but not much accomplished, let's put it that way.
It's the third time I've heard that tonight.
There was a big deal about CON action out in Alton, town of Alton, and Alden, thank you, in Village, town and Village, Aldine, whatever, it's out in the Western region, okay. And Lancaster Ambulance wants to take over the CON, so there was a lot of talk about it, and I believe it's tabled until December, right?
Correct.
We left at 5 o'clock, so
Correct.
they were still talking, okay.
Yeah, the big problem with this is that the town and the village of Alden got a municipal CON, and now they want, and under the municipal CON, the Lancaster Volunteer Ambulance Corps is providing ambulance service by contract. What they want, apparently in the contract with Lancaster Volunteer Ambulance Service, it said that they want Lancaster to get their own CON for the town and the village of Alden, with an a specific time frame. But because they're already providing the ambulance service, they can't prove need. So I guess so it's nobody's saying that they shouldn't receive a CON for it. They're saying that the process that they're going through is the wrong way to go through it. I guess what they're saying is that it should be a transfer of operating authority, because the municipal CON was converted to a traditional CON, as it states in is it policy or regulation? For after a certain amount of time, a municipal CON has to be converted to a traditional CON, and once it's converted to a traditional CON, a transfer of operating authority can be done. And what they're saying is that there's no need, so if we're gonna follow the policy, then there's no need, because they're already providing the service. They should be doing a transfer of operating authority, rather than a traditional CON policy.
Expansion.
Right, rather than doing an expansion,
Yeah.
so.
And that was discussed for 2 days and then tabled till December.
It was entertaining, though.
It was, yeah. Med standards met, and in the current collaborative protocols, CFRs are allowed to check a patient's glucose and give them oral glucose. That is not correct, and it's being taken out. So if any of your CFRs are doing that, don't let them do it. A new formulary is being made for pre-hospital providers, and it's going to have 3 sections. Section A is the actual drug that we can give. Section B is the alternate drug with all the drug shortages that are going on. And Section C will be if our REMAC says, no, you can't do B, you can do C.
Or if B is not available.
Correct, or if B is not available.
Are they gonna be allowed to plug something else in there if B isn't available?
That's
Yes,
what-
the
that's what column
REMAC.
C
That's
is.
what column C will be.
Which part of the BLS thing is not okay, the checking the glucose or the administering?
Both.
It's only for CFRs though.
Yeah,
And it's- and
EMTs can do
And
it.
the reason behind that is because it's not in the national education standards to teach them to give oral glucose or check glucometry. I understand that, but then I also understand, I mean, look at some of the people that we give glucometers to now, and they're able to successfully use them, so.
It's an education piece.
It's an
It's-
education
piece.
It's an
It should be-
education piece,
should-
but I believe.
it should be
and correct
built
me
in.
If I'm wrong,
Mhm.
that can individual medical directors authorize blood glucometry for their people to use blood glucometry if they're trained? For a
CFRs?
CFR?
Mm-mm.
No, so that would be a no.
Technically, it's beyond their scope of practice.
Right.
So kind of like medical director giving you as an EMT the ability to start IV because it does a good idea.
They'd
Okay.
they'd have to get their CLIA waiver.
Yeah.
There's a lot of spot inspections going on, which maybe Brian can talk about later, but they're looking at hydrostat dates on your oxygen. Everything.
Expiration
Everything.
dates on everything.
Everything, yes. Including your ET tubes.
Even a
And, yes. So, just be forewarned, you may have that coming. They're also doing the full service inspections. Again, they said at least once every 2 years. Before you have your inspection, you're gonna get an EMS self-assessment survey. And then it just fosters positive conversations, so when they come out to, inspect you.
It's more of a learning tool.
Yes.
It's a discipline.
Yeah.
Plus, the state's trying to get data feedback to try and see based on whatever.
Right.
Pull it out.
You can look at it without closing, without submitting.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's interesting to go look at it.
Mhm.
It really is a good tool.
No, it is, it really is.
Online testing through PSI has increased from $28 to $31. They are aware of the PSI issues. Any issues, let the department know immediately at ems.testingissues@healthny.gov. I will send that out to everybody.
I got a name though.
Yes, I got a name for you.
I got a name for you.
Yes, yes. Everything is uploaded now on the portal, and the director, Ryan, said that if you send in paperwork, they will send it back to you to put in through the portal. So, the only thing that you don't have to put through the portal is the check. For your controlled substance license, so. NEMSIS data 3.5 will be released in early November. You can upload it beginning January 1, but it has to be done by July of 2024. Also, the nice thing about this NEMSIS data is right now we have 900 mandatory fields, and now we'll have about 250. So it's going down. Let's see. There's a rural health ambulance task force, and there's a survey out that is on the website, the New York State Department of Health. I can send links for that. Let's see. I think that's pretty much it, unless you guys can think of something else. Oh, quality metrics. Quality metrics, is a big thing. There's a new handbook coming out. There's a 2-day class at Vital Signs about it. So they want to have every service have a QA quality coordinator. So, yes. And I think that's it. Brian, if I forgot something.
You actually covered everything that I would have talked about, so yeah.
All right, very good. So see, I saved that part for the end. Okay.
Quick note on the survey. I know sometimes feel like we're being talked about, but they really are making some good decisions based off these.
They
You
are.
know, the wage survey was very interesting. They pushed out a couple of results that we'll have to do.
There's actually 4 surveys currently going on. Rural Test Tech, rural,
Rural,
of
yeah.
course, is just one of them. If you go to our website, on the left-hand side, you can click on EMS forms, and in the EMS provider and feedback section, you can actually see the 4 different surveys that are open, and we really appreciate you just filling out and taking the time.
They need a good data set, so they need a lot of people to do this. And I'm telling you that I'm surprised how little data they're getting back. They're making decisions based on that, and money's following those decisions. So if we don't participate,
I know one survey was on pay. I don't know if anybody got it. They did get 3,500 responses back. And with it, they found that, sorry, I'll come up with that paper here in just a second. They found that 48% are going to be long-term, 38% will be gone within 5 years, and 68% use this as to get a different healthcare position. And the average EMT pay is 19 an hour, and the average paramedic pay is 29 an hour throughout the state. So they are looking at everything. And one more thing, they did put out all the subcommittees at the state level. And if anybody's interested, you don't have to be on the council to go to these meetings or be part of it. So if you want to come join the fun, I'll send these out. So, that's it for that.
Pretty good. So I did a couple of those surveys already, and I was on there, and they do give you option, if you're just not a straight for or strongly against, whatever, they do ask for verbiage in there, what's your opinion? And, you know, we always complain about that, you know, the state's not listening to us, the state's not listening to us. Well, it's your voice that's out there, and you should be taking it back to your core saying, you know, your meeting nights and stuff, you know, if you got 27 in one core and 27 in another core, it's like, you really ought to be filling these out, because if this is how you're thinking, then they get enough people that are running these surveys back to them saying, hey, I guess we're not listening to rural America out there, and that's how we're going to get things changed, especially with funding and stuff. So make sure they're filling them out, because they are pretty straightforward, and it's going to be a lot of the changes that's coming forward. Don't let somebody else make the changes for you. You make the change. So. StreamAC.
stream act meetings next week.
Okay.
I'm hopeful that we'll have a quorum. Are people responding?
3.
3 is not a quorum yet.
Two aren't members.
So I responded.
And, Dr. Lemay.
Okay.
Dr. Hallinan told me she was gonna be there.
Excellent, okay.
We were trying to schedule a meeting with Dr. Brimmer, and he said that he was.
Excellent. I like where this conversation is going. You guys are making my night.
Here's 98.
Dr. Farney is gonna be there.
Okay.
I will not be.
You're not part of the.
No, I know, that's kind of why I made sure I was here. So,
Oh, no.
I have another engagement.
Not all for it.
No. It's just always at the same time I'm doing the meetings, but.
Okay.
Wasted your time. Yes.
So I'll kind of chime off of that, and then it'll tie in right with training and education too. So, training and education did not meet, not from the lack of trying, but a bunch of things had come up. So we were discussing different points of QA, QI. I had approached Terry. We'd sat down several meetings, and in the midst of this, down in our area, we had problems with the medical director. So we had Dr. Robshaw, who retired after all those years. We had a fill-in, which was supposed to be Lisa Ryder, and the interim, I understand she went elsewhere. So we were kind of left high and dry, but the U of R, who was setting the medical director and the policies and the contracts up for us, wasn't aware of that, so there was some confusionary. Mike had reached out to us, Dr. Kellogg reached out to us, and I appreciate that. At one point, it got to the point where we were pulling our hair out because we had too many chefs in the kitchen, and we were just trying to regulate everything. We had communications going between the hospital, the docs, and what was going to happen. So through a series of meetings, we had the U of R docs down. U of R has agreed to pick up that in our area, their council group for EMS providers. So Dr. LeMay is going to pick up the 3, 4, 5 ambulance forces? 5, 6 volunteers, and also Hornell will be our medical director. So we had a meeting last week, brought the corps in, sat them down, discussed a few things on training, went over stuff while they were there, and they gave their pitch, how they're set up, how they come forward, how they set up their contracts and everything. Brought everything to us. Dr. Cushman was there and Dr. LeMay was there, and they were very enthusiastic, very excited about doing it. So the ball is rolling. We're getting the contract signed, getting them in place, getting everybody back up to speed. They're going to set up a series of meetings at the convenience of the volunteers and their corps and stuff when they can meet with them to see what their specific needs are for each and every department. And we're hoping that a lot of the training and stuff is going to spark off of that in our area. Hopefully we get some ideas that we can bring back to the council. So that's moving forward, but we do have a doc locked in place, and I know he reached out to Mike and wants to make sure he's at the Stream Act meetings and get all the information on this region, because they're more affiliated with what Monroe and Livingston's doing, so they want to make sure that we're on the same page with everything. And, but very excited, very enthusiastic docs, and again, I can't thank you enough for reaching out to us and trying to help us with the interim. With that, we are working at some training models and stuff that we want to bring back, and that we're going to sit down with these guys. So hopefully by the next meeting, we've got some other stuff in place. And also, this was forwarded on to myself. Nikki forwarded this on to me, and I also did get one correspondence right from Drew Chesney from New York State. Reaching out because I want to ask a couple of things. It's addressed hello regional people. When do your training and education committees meet? Are they virtual? Are they in person? Looking for some regular dates and times. Does anybody have any education plans you are especially proud of? Do you have one at all? If you don't, we would like to know that too. No worries, nothing wrong. Just want to see what's working with and where to discuss, discussions can begin. It's up and coming in the state, and would like to be helpful on a basis of as we work forward on the project. So again, as Brian said, it sounds like it's more information that they're trying to get fed back. I didn't answer them back. I just got this the other day. So I knew we were having a meeting tonight, so I wanted to bring it forward. Anybody's got any input on this, I'm going to reach out to him and let him know. We typically don't have regular set meetings for training. When we can get the group together and the availability of everybody's schedules and that's when we try to meet. And up to this point with COVID and everything, it's been virtual a lot of times too. So we're trying to get that so they are back together again and we can start meeting. But we had both best intentions this summer, like I said, but a lot on the plate, a lot of things happened over the past 2 months, so we didn't get too much accomplished. So, we did look at some of the stuff from the QI portion of it as far as the EPCR programs, what they're kicking back, what some of the other agencies. The two docs, when they came down the other night, they had some ideas of what they do in their regions now, what they've done with some other BSFR units. So it was great to see the whole spectrum from certified first responders right up to paramedic programs that these guys work with and different training models that they have out there too. So maybe we can bring some of that research back too. But we're going to move forward on that. So anybody got any suggestions or anything as far as when I call or get an email back to Drew?
I think there's some wisdom to setting up training that meeting moving forward virtually. We can probably talk about that afterwards offline.
Absolutely.
You know, set down dates for 24 that way.
It would probably be, I know it would be easier for these guys because they can chime in, you know, they need a schedule. I get that, you know. We've always went at the conveniencies of the members on the council. We understand they have jobs, they have families, and so we try to work around that. But we can certainly plug some dates in there and try to work to them as best we can. I'm not aware of a training or education plan that's set either countywide or by council right now that there's anything out there that any kind of a model or anything that we're following that I'm not aware of.
It's something we're supposed to do, if I'm not mistaken, and we haven't. Yes.
Okay.
It's just, it can be as simple as, here's what our projected plan is for the next year.
All right.
Maybe that plan doesn't fully execute it, but here's what we anticipate. We anticipate 2 DMT courses, or whatever it might be by course policy.
January was due June.
Okay.
And they used to, Town of Hannah used to, that's how they used to fund it, or try to understand what their funding was. And we also sent a spreadsheet behind that. We would take your plan and try to put them in, and that would adjust their budget for that. Interesting thing is the funding source for education hasn't been spent through. As same thing with council and program agency, which is a problem.
Part of the reason you're seeing the increase in BLS, what they're going to bring to is they're trying to just actually spend all of that.
It's critical to spend through. You know, they went to the state to get more money, and the state basically said, you're gonna spend what you have. So, I mean, like, our region, program agency, we spend through funds. And there's 1 or 2 out there who don't submit timely, so they count as not spending through.
And I know that's been an issue too, because myself and Terry were talking about that, and that's one of the things with PSI, about getting that turnover, getting access in there to see when somebody's tested out to get the reimbursement, because they only give you the 15-day window, and then, you know, you don't know if this person tested or not. He said he signed up, but he didn't, and then, you know, okay, by the time you found out, yeah, I passed my test, well, when did you take it? Oh, I did it a month ago. You know, it's like, it's too late now, you know?
We sent a letter to, I think Tara, was that? Ask her if they're gonna, kind of nudge them, if they're gonna put any grace in there. But it's pretty clear that, no, but they gotta have a little bit of physical waste set up now. It's really difficult to track.
Yeah.
Talking about education, does anyone want to talk about the current status of the permanent?
Yeah.
Yes.
Donnie's not here, so.
Yeah, so, as I'm sure most of the folks in this room are aware, Brandon Rossetti is leaving the Onyx EMS education program to take a wonderful job in Benton County. This puts us at a little bit of an impasse in that we don't have a clear successor to him to take the reins of the EMS training program. As you guys know, the Onyx program trains most of the paramedics in our region and many paramedics in the surrounding region as well. In addition to our program, training a number of BLS level providers as well. The BLS side of things, I think we have pretty well squared away in talking with MSTAR that they should be able to at least temporarily absorb that training. In terms of the ALS level, we currently have a very large paramedic class with high 20s people currently enrolled in it that obviously are going to be critical to our region to get them through their training in the next 2 years. I'm sorry, next year. We met with a bunch of regional stakeholders, thank you to all of you who could be there a week or two ago to discuss what we could do. I think we have a temporary solution that we're just working on the details of, to have Jake Hartman come down from Finger Lakes 1 day a week to supervise the class with some local assistance. That gives us a year to figure out a permanent solution, which could involve recruiting somebody from outside to come in or training somebody up locally to assume the reins. It's a little bit of a tricky thing. You need to have a paramedic, obviously, a bachelor's degree, as well as a CIC at the paramedic level. We just don't have a lot of people that meet those qualifications. So we are actively recruiting. We're looking at opportunities to train internally. But again, I think in the short term for our current classes, we have a good plan. We're just ironing out the details. So I'd be happy to take any questions on that situation right now.
So your class this year is moving forward then?
So we have one class that is finishing up in November of this year, and then the current class that just started in August. We plan with Jake's help to continue them through to completion next October, November. That's the current plan. I also, if there aren't any questions, I would like to just ask the council to formally thank Brandon for all of his efforts over the last, how, 7, 8 years you've been doing this, Brandon? I think it's hard to count the number of providers that he has positively impacted or personally minted into the EMS system in this region, and I think that it would not be nearly as strong as it is were it not for all of his hard work. So I would like to ask the council to, I don't know what we do, formally proclamate or something, Brandon.
Absolutely.
His role in EMS education.
Absolutely.
For the last 7, 8 years.
I'll take 12. You were teaching my class 12 years ago.
But yeah.
Well, you were under Bob Radke.
Yeah, I wasn't technically the.
Yeah, well, you're still teaching, you were our instructor.
I took a gap year.
He was flying and teaching PALS and ACLS when I started, so.
I'll make a motion that we officially recognize Brandon for his more than decade of effort in providing education to the region.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Everybody said aye, so I'm not even saying opposed. so.
That's right, absolutely.
No, it's, you know, any of you, and there's a lot of educators in the room, know what the task that, it's not just the teaching that night at the class, it's the preparatory work, it's chasing down, it's getting resources, it's checking with the state to make sure that things are up. I could not do what I do alone without the assistance of Terry. We're constantly bouncing off each other and get this for me, can you find that? I'll call tomorrow, and it just, it takes a lot. And that's the goal. It's nothing about the money, it's nothing about what's out there, it's not the proclamation, but when you see those people out there that you've trained, and there's a lot that he has trained, those resources out there saving lives, that you feel good when you go to bed at night. I mean, when you can put those people out there.
And one thing I'll reiterate to that I wasn't even aware of until I attended this meeting, was the accreditation portion that he has to go through. To maintain accreditation of the program is pretty expensive. And I was not even aware of that level of, certainly dealing with the state is one thing, but dealing with the state and accreditation is something completely different. So kudos to Brandon for handling that.
Huge.
Thank you very much, Brandon.
Yes, thank you. Nice job. And good luck on your next role.
Thank you.
Bigger and better things. The only other thing we got before training and education tonight is core sponsorship for MSTAR. It was brought up back in the Mays meeting, and it was missing a couple items, which did get to me. I did review them. And the only other thing was the policies and procedures, which were electronic and they weren't printed off, and Mike had talked to me about that. So the application is indeed complete. So I move that forward for a vote tonight for council. All in favor? Unless you want to see it, I can pass it around.
I'm going to identify a conflict of interest
Okay.
and abstain from voting tonight.
I will do the same.
Okay. The course sponsorship. For MSTAR.
Yeah, seconded motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We will take that back to them. And next, public information, Jeff.
We did not meet, but we have been in contact with an incident that happened in Chemung County, multi-agency, that was brought up for recognition. So we're still investigating that. Just like to reiterate to the other counties, we have not received anything from Benton County. We haven't received anything from Schuyler County, any recognition for anything out there. So just remind your units out there, corps, all that, it doesn't have to come from the doctors, it can come from anybody. To send it, public information to anybody they think we recognize for something. Like I said, the recognition coming out of us is not just for coins, we can recognize your certificates or whatever, just so these guys are getting recognized.
One thing I would like to mention about that too is that something came to light from that incident too that I didn't know was available in our area, is that Guthrie, now that they're a level 1 trauma center, and I don't know, maybe they did it before they were a level 1 trauma center, but they have a surgical response team where they'll send surgeons to the scene to perform surgical procedures if necessary. So in that particular situation, they have a few surgeons and a lot of blood brought to the scene. So it's an available resource that I didn't. It must be a level 1 thing, but it's something to keep in the back of the mind. The helicopter is the one who requested it. But I don't know who can request it or what, but it is a service that's available out there, a resource that's available out there.
I guess that's something we should check with all the level one trauma centers and see if those resources are there, maybe making the 911 centers aware of that, so when they get that MCI call to say, hey, do you want me to put these people on standby?
I mean, they were about ready to do a bilateral leg amputation before they were able to extricate the person. So it's nice that it's nice to know that it's available in our area.
It was also brought that, to try to recognize them at the state level. I've done all my research, unless somebody else can come up with something. All those are recognized for individual. There's nothing for qualified agency recognition at the state level.
I'll get you some more information, Jeff, but there was a FCI on 390 that involved multiple county response, multiple agencies. There was pediatric, I wasn't working.
Yeah. So, two.
We'll get you the details on that. We'll have to fetch it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can probably just get the CAD on that and figure out who's assigned to it.
We'll put it together. and get
Okay.
it.
Yeah, I'd just like to see us recognize, like I said, we've had a lot come out of small town, but nothing out of Skyline, nothing. We'll get that out there. and figure
Yeah,
out
we'll
what-
get you some data on that one. 'cause
If nothing
I
else,
wasn't working, but-
yeah, if nothing else, certificates for those people would be, there was a lot of people there, but they did a hell of a job for what they pulled up on. Did a nice job.
Jeff.
Get it out there before.
There was one sent in by one of our council members, and not to put you on the spot, Dr. Kellogg, but it says that I emailed it to you on July 26th. But I've got the copy, I'll give it to him tonight, and you all can talk later.
Okay.
What was your old email?
Sorry.
So, yeah, so other than that, I don't have anything else unless anybody else has anything.
There's two other opportunities for recognition. You know, the state has their award, which is close to this year because they award
Right.
a couple weeks ago. Second thing is, the First Responders Park. It's Tri-County First Responders Park over in Irwin there. They just did theirs, beginning of the week actually. And they award for providers, agencies. They have several award categories. And in speaking with, you know, the folks that run that, they're not really getting a lot of applications. So, you know, that's on all of us to, you know, throw those names in there.
Well, that's why I said, whatever's out there, tell your core, tell it, it doesn't have to come from them.
Yeah.
So like the first responder, a first responder can recognize, say, hey, I
Agency
saw
leader,
something.
whoever.
Right, so,
Just to, they have to bring their own.
and you can email me that thing for their stuff.
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
Nominations, they're generally open up in June, and then they award in
A
August.
little later than that, I think it's usually July or August. Maybe early.
Eight nominations.
But the ceremony is always on September 11th.
Okay. Good, okay. QI committee.
QI did not meet. I did receive a message from Jeff a few days ago, and I just totally have not taken time to respond, so I apologize. But we're looking to get back on track once we got this medical director thing settled and DOT class started and all of that. Just to kind of give you a heads up, the hospital's looking to do like a major disaster drill, so if you hear any chatter on the radio, it's just a drill. So that'll take place on October 4th.
And those QI forms are on the website, so if your cores, you know, make sure they're submitting them, sending them forward. I know Terry tries to chase them down, but that's the information we need, so.
It's on the website.
Yep.
Submit them to.
So make sure they're getting back. Okay, Finance Committee.
Oh, that's me again. Okay.
Oh, wow, level of detail.
I'm telling you, yeah. All right, so the Finance Committee met via a few emails and everything, so we have three seconded motions to bring forward. The first one is the budget for 2023 to 2024. And that will be also posted on the website, but what we're looking at, we still have the $25,000. $7,500 for contractual services, which is for the regional medical director. $3,210.72 for trainings and meetings, which that will now be $13,000 because it's travel. And last year we had $10,000 for the training day, which we don't have that this year. Operating expenses is going to be $4,289.28, and that is for our meeting space, mailbox fee on our website, the website, Stop the Bleed supplies, and Splash Top, which is basically to cover our cloud for our computer, in the post office box. And that brings us up to the $25,000. So for a seconded motion for approval of the 2023-2024 budget, and we can always change it.
Okay. Motion to the floor to accept the budget as read. Opposed? Motion is carried.
All right, the next seconded motion is to pay for travel for Dr. Hallinan. Dr. Hallinan is willing to represent our council at the SEMSCO in Albany. She went to, or CMAC, I'm sorry, I get them mixed up. When SEMSCO was going on, she asked if she has to be on that one. We said no, so it's CMAC. So we're bringing to the council as a seconded motion to pay for her travel for the last few days to the state meetings.
I thought the state paid for people who attend the meeting.
She's not vetted.
Vetted, she's not vetted yet. So she wanted to see what it was all about. She's not scared. She is coming back.
Then I heartily
Yes.
second that motion.
Yes, thank you. Yeah,
She got quite the education.
she sure did. Sure did. Yes, and she wants to go back.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried.
And our third seconded motion bringing to the council is to pay for travel for Terry Simons to go for the quality metrics portion at the New York State Vital Signs, October 19th and 20th in Syracuse.
Want to do that, or are we forcing that on
Well, no, I'm waiting for approval to see if I can get it off.
Yeah.
So I'll let you know.
Okay.
So when she does let us know, is everybody in favor of that?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, I'll talk to your boss for you. And these are things like we're talking about with training, and I'm sure that Drew is reaching out, why he's reaching for some of this stuff too, is that we missed the boat on the information, just making new contacts. There's been a lot of transition in these offices and stuff, so who do we talk to, who do you, the portal, everything's going through the portal now, but that's all well and good until you have to talk to somebody or ask a question. You know, emails back and forth, and so just going to these meetings to be able to lay a one-on-one on some people really helps a lot of times, so.
And the last thing was, Jimmy wanted me to let you all know, last year for 2022 to 2023, we spent a total of $9,477.16, leaving us a balance of unspent money of $15,522.84. So if the state wants us to spend it, I say spend it. Of course, I'm the spender, so anyway.
The question's always been, what can we spend it on? Is there a list of?
Not dinner.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
No food.
Is there a list we can all look at?
Well, the first thing is, you guys can all get reimbursed for travel. All you have to do for coming to these meetings is fill out the form and turn it in to me, and we can turn it in, and you guys can get a check for travel. There's one thing. Another thing is, I think they can go to it's, tell me if I'm wrong, to the state council meetings, we can send 2 people, right? Thank you.
I think there's education we can do, as long as it benefits. I mean,
Yes.
we can start paying for some education here.
Yes.
And, maybe we should be looking at that. Maybe we should be looking at, if we really need to do a training and education plan, maybe we can look at finding someone that can help us produce
Yeah.
a good
A
quality
good
training and
report, yep.
education plan. You know, or at least get us started on one. Maybe that's something the money can be spent on.
I mean, we have a realm of people in here, and I was asking Tim and obviously Brandon back there, but, you know, that's Steuben County. What about Chemung? What about Schuyler? You know, there's 3 counties, you know, if we can come up with a plan that, you know, those resources can be used all the way around, I mean, it's money well spent.
You know, maybe it might be worth, you know, putting forth a grand rounds that we rotate between counties.
Yep.
On a quarterly basis, and that's something that we can use we can pay for whatever materials are required for that grand rounds. It's some sort of educational experience, you know, where we can take up a case and get all the players there and have some sort of education. So as long as the way I understand it is, as long as it benefits the region as a whole, it's an allowable expense. So.
I believe so.
I mean,
Make a joke, it really does include almost anything except for food and beverage. So anything that you can make an argument for, they go for approval on.
So.
One thing we can do is you can buy the state LMS platform. That's $2,500 to get on the state platform.
Oh, yeah, and is that for all the providers in the 3 counties?
so everybody would have access to that? That would be huge.
That seems completely reasonable.
Yeah, that's,
It's growing. I'm not gonna say, it's not, if you're looking at 24/7 or any of the others, it's not bad, but it's heading in that direction. But it's, the state's paying for it, so we could, and honestly, our good friends from University of Rochester share a bunch of stuff. They need, they do share some stuff with us as well.
So $2,500 is unlimited licenses?
Unlimited licenses in the region.
well, that's a no-brainer.
I'll get the information
Yeah,
for you.
absolutely.
Chet, I'll make a motion right now.
Well, hang on, I can't write that fast.
Well, you're
So
right.
what is your motion?
My motion is that we purchase that license so that the providers within our region have access to the state LMS system.
And we can get the,
Can you put the brakes on it though?
Oh, okay.
Just for a second.
Okay. I'll hold my motion for
Is
right
it
now.
Okay.
developed enough for someone to fully, I'm sorry, yeah.
Motion, second discussion.
go
Is
ahead.
it developed enough for someone to fully research?
I will,
If
yeah.
I'm a provider and I don't know anything about all this, is it fully developed that I can run with it and then not run into hitches along?
So,
From my perspective, all I see is a lot of people sign up for LMSs.
Yep.
It doesn't give them what they need.
Right.
So then they're, at the last minute, they're behind.
So we use one, obviously, we have Target Solutions for our guys for the training. But I'm on like 3 other sites, and you get different vantage points. I'm on one from PA, and you pick up different things and different ideas. That's where I was going with this, not that it was used for a CME ticket, that it would maybe add
Just
to your.
another avenue for
Yeah,
someone to
yeah.
get some sort of.
Yeah, they could, that's all I was looking at. I was not looking at it at that standpoint, yeah.
Someone wants to use that as their primary and only platform.
Right.
It doesn't get them where they.
Sure.
Would it be worth me amending my motion to say that we investigate it, and if the investigation finds that it's a worthy platform, that we go forward?
I'll second that.
For any of you who are on Collaboration, CipherWorks, it's that platform. The same one that U of R uses, except the state isn't quite as robust. But it's the same, and if you get on New York State Vital Science Academy, it's the same platform. But Brandon's correct, it's a little, and that's why we backed off it.
because you can't really identify clear pathways to CMA, but there's good content. You know, it is what it is, and it's good. It just may not get you where you want to go. You can't, it's not unauditable.
Yeah, and again, I was looking at that it's a tri-county area, can use it. We can put it on the website, how to register if it's a one-ticket deal. And we could put the cautionaries on there. It only covers for, you know, yeah, and,
3 people, 900 people, 2,500.
I mean,
I think that even if this is of minimal utility, if it adds even a little bit that makes it simpler for our providers to stay certified, and we have 15 grand sitting on the table unspent, it feels like it's a no-brainer to do it. It's we want to investigate what sort of disclaimers we want to put on it before we push it out to everybody. But I think it'd be a shame to leave this money unspent and leave this, even if it's a poor resource, it's one more resource we can offer.
exactly.
You know, at times I feel like that the providers in the region don't know too much about the council and don't know if the council, what can the council provide for me? And this is actually something where the council can get out there and say, hey, listen, here's something that we can do.
Do an
for you.
education piece on it, yeah.
So you can also develop your own content
Yeah.
and post it on there, which is kind of what they were, you know, in my opinion, what they were looking for all along.
And that's where I was going with this too. So we start doing the QA piece and we start hitting that, EMTs are having a problem with glucometers. So it's just, you know, we're not doing the BGs right or something. We're getting a saturation of that area. We can blast out to the area, look at the last QA report, this is where we had a low. Why don't you blast it out to these companies, say, hey, why don't you review this? It's on the LMS, it's free, sign in, go, and just review this with your core. Again, and I'm not picking on anybody in particular, but, you know, the Jaspers and the Troopers that are way out there, I get home from work at night, I can sit in front of this and then, hey, oh, there was a message, you know, you might want to review this, you know, and update the cores a little bit easier. We can see that, and I'm sure it's trackable records again, so we can see how many people are taking advantage of that too. And then if there is a problem.
You get half a credit or you get a
Yeah,
credit towards your research.
exactly.
By spending a half hour or an hour doing it.
Yeah. But I think it's, yeah, it would be a shame to let that go, especially with the money there.
And Mike, you said we can develop our own stuff on, so I mean, if there are things in the region that we identify as
A problem.
needs, you can stick me in front of a camera for 10 minutes and I can record them and they can get
And that's
credit
huge,
for that.
yeah.
Education day, when you're on education day, I don't record it, I mean, we got the equipment now, so.
And I think Dave Repsher should do one on how to read the hydrostatic dates on the oxygen bottles. Since all paramedics are supposed to tell the investigator that, so.
I just think this is something that's gonna benefit every single
Yeah.
protector within our region. And it's something that we can provide for them, and I feel like that we don't, the work we do, you know, kinda puts a little grease in the cogs,
Yeah.
but it doesn't really show.
I agree.
And this is maybe something where we can show that we're doing.
We can
that
blast
we're
that
doing
out, that, you know, the
something for
council
every
wants you
provider in the
to
region.
view this, you know.
Yeah.
Or notes on the council, you know, what the council does and stuff. We can put that as a, you know, information piece for them too. Or do you have information? Maybe there's people that don't know exactly what the council does and they want to be a part of it, so we can get more response on them.
I'm with Dr. Kellogg. I mean, as far as investigating it, you know, we're gonna leave money on the table. We might as well just do it and just give them the access, whether it's good or bad or indifferent.
And just explain it.
It's there and it's a resource that we can provide to them. Unless we're gonna spend that money on another platform to do the same type of thing, it might be a better
I
platform.
think in the last 5 years, we haven't come close to spending our $25,000, so I don't think we're in any fear of running out of money.
They frowned on the alternative platform. Because we tried to get into it. Because they just like.
Right.
No, but if the state's willing to start something and we can help the state grow it, I'm all for that too.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, and if it's something like a CME program, so again, the smaller companies that have 6, 7 members, even if it's something that is another program like Target Solutions or something that you pump out to them, and you say, look, if you're looking to start a CME program for your group, these are the steps you have to go through, and through the LMS, we can put that on there so they can understand it and get the information.
It's anything like Pennsylvania system, which
Yeah.
I'm part of, like you are, Frank. It's great. It's a
That's great,
system.
it is.
You know, I take UPMC classes all the time on
They
that.
put on
that
great stuff on there.
Pennsylvania one. They put on great stuff, and if we have the opportunity to get classes from Albany Medical Center, University of Rochester, you know, Columbia Presbyterian in New York City, whatever, you know, I mean, why would we not want to do this? We're just leaving the money on the table. So you want me to state my motion?
Yeah, go ahead.
Please.
Because I forgot it.
So my motion is that the council goes forward and, for $2,500 purchases, access for the region's providers to the state's LMS system.
Second by Jeff Sweet. We've discussed, so all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. So we will get that and get the information to everybody and blast it out to everybody once we have confirmation. That's a good
Put on the
thing.
website how to access it, maybe even
Yep.
put a link to it.
Yeah,
A link
and,
to
and
access
like I
on
said,
the
we can
website.
put any disclaimers on there just so that they're not misled by anything. Anything else?
Question, maybe?
Yeah, yeah.
Can council funds be used to pay for programming?
Is that a gray area?
I don't think so.
As long as the grant is not used to purchase food.
Food. Yes, food and or
So for this cycle, I would say definitely no, because you can't employ,
Mhm.
and you can't, it's a contract labor, and contract labor has to have a contract in place prior to, so I would say for this year out, you could ask if they would, but they would ask for who's in contract, or all this sort of thing. So next cycle, which is, you know, a year away, you could certainly ask, not for nothing, close your right? It depends on who you ask the question. Right.
What were you, did you have something in mind?
You know, if we're historically leaving money on the table, why not take 10, 12, 15 grand and invest it in a well-known or, you know, someone who knows how to write grants? And almost bolster our money, we hope to bolster our money.
So we can leave more money on the table.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's more food and beverage.
Well, I'll tell you, you know, again, you got that tri-county area, and how nice, we all know what simulates costs. I mean, they're a lot of money. How nice would that be to maybe have a mobile unit that could go from region to region and region for training? And that would be, you know, come up with that price and have that grant writer and say, look it, we're using it for this.
Well, there's a lot of these, you know, if you look at SIM stuff, a lot of that stuff has really gone down over the last couple of years. It's not nearly what, you know, you can get really good packages.
Yeah.
75 grand instead of 125?
Yeah, instead of,
But-
you know, the days of 50 grand.
You know, if you could take a trailer setup is what I'm talking about, and you could load it right up and say, okay, we're gonna pull it here today and here tomorrow, and, you know, again, all the counties could take advantage of it, you just put in for it, and it's monitored, and you could do that training. That would be huge.
Mhm.
It'd be worth looking into.
Jimmy should stop coming to the meeting, because we sure spend a lot of money when he's not here.
Yeah, but
You'll blame it on me.
We're making it long now, and we were gonna make it short.
I'm the one that has to go halfway through the month and go, so I kind of overspent my credit card, boss.
Anything else from finance?
No, that finance is done.
Okay, executive.
No, we didn't need,
And I don't think there was anything.
no.
No, okay. Which brings us down to old business. Any old business that we haven't covered already?
Can I just back up to two items?
Yeah.
As part of agency, we do a cursory QI of EPCR and our deliverables. Just so everybody understands what that entails. We don't critique any care, we don't do any care whatsoever. We look at numbers and data points, that's it. So when we open up an agency, we do a quick scan of, does it look appropriate? So if Airways only uploaded, we only see 20 uploads there, we cue them that we're probably missing 30, 40, 50 charts. So we look at, does your quantity look appropriate? We look at validation scores, and if you're having difficulty, and oftentimes validation scores are simple fixes. And we also look at, like, if the charts, sometimes the charts are stalled, particularly with ESO, sorry. ESO has a problem feed to the state. So we just look at those sorts of things. Are there the appropriate number of charts in there? Are the validation scores appropriate? And we do sometimes look from time to time, we look at the narratives, and we try to discourage people from using, there's auto, in the Wintrend, there's an auto-generate. So hope you folks understand that that's not doing anything for you. It's collecting data points from up here and putting them down there. It's just restating those data points. It doesn't cover you it's not good documentation for the hospitals, anything like that. But, so just so you understand it, it's just a cursory review, and that's what we report back to the state. And from time to time, and they do the same thing, but they don't do it as often as we do, because they can't, because they have so many more agencies. We only have 71. So they'll call down from time to time and say, what's up with, Flynn's ambulance services? We have no
Yep. Well, again, and that brings it back to the LMS. The out there in rural America, where you get the small companies, to say your documentation is there, but it's not proper. And here's the fixes for it. You could do a little excerpt on that and say, hey, we noticed you're down this month, and this is why, and this is what we're seeing. Not necessarily a problem, but we all know if something's going to go to court or there's going to be a problem, it's going to be 3-4 years from now, and you're going to pull that PCR and you're going to say, it's not on here. I can't remember what happened yesterday, much less 3-4 years.
Speaking of PCRs, there were some rumblings at the state that there's going to be some movement of having real-time PCR uploads to hospital medical records.
Mm-hmm.
So that there was some starting talk on that. You felt that was gaining some traction, Brian?
I think that I think, to just kind of clarify, what they would really like to see is that currently when the hospitals get a chart or a PCR, it's a flat, it's a PDF, it's a flat, like they actually have to open it up or put it in and read it. It doesn't become part of the medical record. What they would really like to do is be able to work with the hospital systems so that chart actually can come in and be part of the patient's medical record, so that actually.
But the one example is the study that Cushman did up in Rochester, where they did a study on how many people received double doses of dexamethasone. Mm-hmm. Both EMS gave dexamethasone, and then they also received dexamethasone in the ER, and they found that it was 30 to 40% of their patients were receiving double doses of a steroid because they feel that the information isn't properly being relayed over.
Right.
So at least in Epic, and I don't know about the other platforms, the other hospital platforms, if a doctor orders dexamethasone for a particular patient, it will pop up and say dexamethasone was administered by EMS.
Or, yeah, it was administered already.
Right, and it was administered already and administered by who, so that's what that seemed to get a little traction, and it seemed like the deputy health commissioner was very interested in that.
I think they're really into expanding things that go into hospital as well as pre-hospital, to better patient outcomes.
But the downside with that I saw and didn't really mention is that right now a lot of agencies, and I find it with our agency at time too, is that you get 4 or 5 PCRs backed up, and you start looking at maybe 12 hours after the actual call, you actually finally complete your PCR. If they're really start looking at this, there may be a little more stringent time requirements put forth by the state if they're gonna start doing this too, so that's maybe something that
Yeah,
maybe
and
agencies might
and-
wanna start
and in that
thinking about.
case, in that case that you're talking about with the study, that really isn't gonna help, because by then the patient's already treated in the ED.
Exactly.
Even, like I said, the fastest, which
Exactly,
I'm not,
that's it.
is not gonna get that information across unless you can partially send data.
Right, it really depends on what the interface is, right?
Yeah,
The interface
yeah.
is, as you check off that you administer the medication, if that immediately goes without the rest of the
Yeah.
chart, that would be,
The way it works right now is, because I maintain our PCR program in Airways, is that from the time a chart is submitted to the time it's transmitted to the hospital is usually about 15 to 20 minutes. So it actually happens fairly quickly. But my concern is that there might be reduced timeframes where they start saying, within an hour of dropping a patient off at the hospital, the chart must be completed. That
It's technically 4 now.
Yeah.
So.
So,
Well, yeah.
in the real world, when we're running back to back to back to back calls, that's not always possible, and there's a lot of leeway there right now, but if the hospitals are gonna start depending on using this information, and I don't know if they will or if they won't, but that's just kind of something you wanna keep in the back of your minds too.
Would the state start requiring agencies to have like mechanisms to warn their providers that they need to get it done in a certain time period, like within the programs themselves?
They look at that, but not very often. Again, there's, how many people, well, Peter Jones with 2 people.
So there's good and bads to us being integrated with the hospitals. So.
The other issue is this, the county EMS coordinator, I have no access to that data. So I can't go into the system and look at, volume or data, how many of those EPCRs are being turned in, or any data that's there. So,
I think that's allowable, isn't it?
Mike said no.
Peter says no.
Okay.
Mike's the messenger.
And,
I
and,
asked Mike asked Peter, so.
and again, that's
But
gonna,
that's,
I think
you
that's
know,
gonna be a lot of the
you've got
platforms too.
21 agencies that, that you're overseeing.
Yep.
It's something that it would be good to look at data when you're dealing with that many users.
Anything you would like, we can gather redacted. I think that's their issue, that's Peter's issue, is he's very HIPAA compliant. His issue is anybody going in and looking at charts.
Don't want to really look at charts, I want to look at data,
Yeah.
you know?
What is that collaboration they're doing? Is that something that?
Collaboration is the elements.
No, but wasn't there something that they did a couple months ago where they're talking about access to charts?
Hospital.
The region-wide, statistics and stuff like that. What was that called? Is he still moving forward with that?
Yes.
I mean, because that's biospatial, yes, that's right, because that's exactly the information that Tim's looking for.
Correct, exactly. And, and again, I think Peter's concern in regards to the biospatial data is that, the agencies would have access to look at their own data, and then the region would actually be able to look at regional data, but it wouldn't specifically show.
So they couldn't break it down?
It's washed so that you can't necessarily, it wouldn't break the regional data down into the different agencies.
So it
It would be, like, if there were 10 agencies and each saw 10 patients, it would come in as 100 patients, or whatever it was.
I was wondering if it could break it down by FIPS or zip code.
It all depends on what they're looking for.
You can sort location, agency code.
I don't know, it's just, someone like Tim, a county level official, who wants to know how EMS is being provided in this county. I mean, and he's not looking for patient-specific data, he's looking for response times, he's looking for how many times an agency doesn't you know, misses a call.
I wonder if there's a-
Hits a call off to someone else
That
and stuff like that.
See, you have to understand something, okay? That, so those two examples you just gave, is all, so like, if your agency, okay, doesn't fill out charts when they miss a call because they didn't respond,
Right.
okay, you're not gonna know how many,
Right.
what percentage are responding to or not responding.
Right.
But what I could look at would be, okay, in my CAD system, I know agency X ran 20 calls this month, and there's only 4 reports in there, 4 pieces, right? I can look at CAD data and get that information. Looking at CAD data and cross-referencing it with ETCR data would allow me to get a better picture of.
To say why is there only 4? Well,
Right.
what happened on those other calls?
Right.
So we can gather that data.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's something where we can just discuss that with Peter.
I'm
I
gonna
mean,
put that-
every time I've dealt with Peter, he's been
I'm gonna
fairly
put that over on
reasonable.
the new EMS coordinator when he starts.
Careful, Peter's hiring.
I don't think
Okay.
All right, I'll stop.
All good stuff, all good stuff. So we're still under old business, anything else? New business. I think we kind of mixed the two together, but we're good.
I just have a couple things, that's okay.
Absolutely.
Everyone should have an alternate. If you don't, here's applications, so we can always try to have a quorum. And welcome to our new alternate, Keith Caslin, and our new council member, Mike Minke. And also mileage claim forms. So if you guys want to do that, and congratulations, there you go.
Are there any current openings?
No, we have no current openings for council. We are at 30.
But for everybody that is on council, we had a lot of vacant seats on committees. Some people aren't assigned to committees, so if you would just email Nikki if you're interested with sitting on one of the committees, you know, helping with training, helping with, you know, public information, QA, whatever. Yeah.
Could we maybe to the executive committee members, which is all the committee chairs, maybe we could send out a list of who's on our committee,
Yeah.
not who's on everybody's committee, so that we can look at that and see that,
I
hey,
can
this
send that
person,
to you.
this person's not on any committee, maybe that's someone who'd be willing to go work on my committee.
Yep.
Yep, I can send it out to all the committee chairs.
Or council chair for the point. The state just don't want to volunteer.
Well, voluntold.
I was, and I'm here.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
But we
you
had
have
such
to be
a,
on
we
a
had such
committee.
a turnover fast there that we were
Mhm.
filling vacancies and this one coming on and I just don't think we ever had a chance. And then we went to the Zoom meetings for a while there, so. So, yeah, just, we'll get that information out. Be thinking about it.
Okay.
All right. Yes, please.
I think I'd like to.
So, the current standards for ambulances, 800, I think it's 21.
Yes.
21?
Yep.
22, 23, 24. They're in revision, they're in the process of revision. They're going to be going out for public comment. With probably within the next, I'd say, 30 days, they will be open for public comment for 60 days, and then they will go to the council for approval. This is a chance to go out, take a look and see what's there, and see what the changes were to the equipment requirements as well as building standards and stuff like that. These have not been changed since, I believe,
70s?
no, it's 90, I think it's like 94, don't quote me on that, that's not a, so, take a look. I know the committee spent a lot of time on it.
Born in '94, so yeah.
And tried to clean some stuff up, but there are some things that may kind of strike like a while. So, and you can comment publicly as to whether or not it's, good idea, bad idea, whatever. So keep an eye out for that.
Anything else to come before committee tonight? Seeing none, I make a motion for adjournment. First and second, all in favor? Meeting is adjourned.
Next meeting's November.
Right.
November 9th in this room for the next meeting.